I haven't been golfing in maybe... Today, I want to play a golf game. I want to play a golf game, and I want it to be good. I don't want shitty golf games. I want to play a good golf game. That's what I want. I want to play golf! I want golf! Oh, I haven't been golfing in maybe... I want to play golf! I want to play some golf games on my Neo Geo! Excuse to go out on a little golf cart and get drunk and just get a sunburn. But I don't need to do that anymore because now I'm old and I have my own house. I want to play golf! Shit. Well, might have blown out my vocal cords doing that intro. You guys will have to tell me whether or not that was worth it. Ugh. Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, the Nasty Bedazzler. Now, if you couldn't tell from the intro of this video that I almost destroyed my vocal cords making, today we're going to be looking at a golf game. And not just any golf game, we're going to be looking at Neo Turf Masters for the Neo Geo AES, and it was also released in some arcades. Now, I have a long, sordid history with this game. I had it on MAME for my PC years and years ago, and I gotta tell you, this is one of the better Neo Geo games out there. So please stick around for this video. I know many of you are probably gonna be turned off when I mention golf. It's better than that. Here's what we know. Here's what we know. This is what it is. So in 1996, this game came out. This was developed and released by a company called Nazca Corporation, or Nazca, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. Now, if that name sounds familiar, that doesn't surprise me because this is the same developer that created the Metal Slug series, if you can believe that. And then in 1996, the same year that this game released, SNK actually bought them out and absorbed Nazca into SNK. So essentially they are no more, they just merged. But so now Nazca's got two games in their portfolio. They've got Metal Slug and they've got Neo Turf Masters. Now, that is one hell of a portfolio you've got there, Nazca. Those two games, and quite frankly, they are both excellent. So if you liked Metal Slug, there's a good chance that you're gonna like this one too, because this has the same level of polish as that game. Now, I am not the biggest fan of the sport of golf. In fact, I don't like it at all, but I am a white man. I have been golfing before, and quite frankly, I just used it as an excuse to go out on a little golf cart and get drunk and just get a sunburn. But I don't need to do that anymore because now I'm old and I have my own house and I can just get drunk here by myself and make some videos for you guys to enjoy. So I haven't been golfing in maybe, I don't know, 20 years, and I'm sure we can all agree that golf games are a little bit more fun than the actual sport of golf because, as I just said, golf is pretty stupid. So I was wondering, how do I review a game like this? Well, I don't know, but we're gonna make it work. I actually had this game on my list of games to review when I first started this channel, and I actually tried to review it once before too. I actually wrote a script for it and I captured gameplay footage of it, and I just thought that I couldn't do it, but I'm giving it another shot today, and I believe I've got enough stuff here to cover, so why don't we go into that?
The first thing you do in Turf Masters is pick a character, and you got plenty of choices here from a handful of countries. I always pick the guy from the USA, not because he's from the country I'm from, but because he's the most even with his stats. After that, you pick which course you would like to play. Choices include the USA, Japan, Germany, and Australia. There are 18 holes to play for each territory, so there are quite a lot of different courses to go through. After choosing that, the game starts and you are golfing like a real pro. Now, some of this will probably look familiar as it doesn't deviate too far from what a lot of golf games do. If you've seen one, you kind of seen them all as far as functionality, but not all golf games are created equal, and this one is better than any of the others I've played. With each shot, you pick the club that you want to use, and it tells you the distance that club will get your ball, and you've got to factor in the wind, which the game tells you what the deal is there. So let's say the wind is blowing hard to the southeast. You're going to want to compensate and shoot more to the west, but also use more power in your shot to get your ball where you want it to go because the wind will be pushing against your ball while it's in the air. You've got a power meter, and then you've got another meter that dictates how low or high you hit the ball, and you pick your power first, then how you want to hit it, And you want to adjust how you want to hit it, either low or high, especially if you're trying to clear obstacles like trees. But generally, you just want to hit the ball right in the middle if there aren't any obstacles. You can also put a curve on the ball before you hit it to navigate around a curvy course easier. As I just mentioned, there are many obstacles to navigate around, such as trees or rough patches of grass, or water and sand traps, and you really want to avoid all of these, which I think goes without saying unless you're a moron. What you want to do is get it on the light green grass, which is the fairway. If you get it on the long grass or the really long grass, that's considered the rough and the very rough respectively, and when hitting the ball out of that, you need to compensate with the amount of power on your shot, as the ball will travel much less distance from these points with the same amount of power as if you were on the fairway. You got all that? Yeah, I know, it's boring shit, but for the sake of the review, I kinda gotta mention it. And there are people out there that actually like golf that might find this useful. Also, you can hit the ball out of bounds or even in the water, which then has you take the same shot over again, but giving you what's called a stroke penalty. And this has nothing to do with jerking off at inappropriate times. All it means is your character has a stroke and dies on the course. So an ambulance then comes in and carts away your corpse, and it's game over and you need to use another continue to be resuscitated and try again. None of that is true. What it means is that it counts as an extra move, which gets you closer to par, which is bad. Let me just try to break it down this way, since golf is ridiculous and hard to explain, especially to those that don't like golf. You're trying to get par or less than par on each hole, and par basically is the amount of times you should hit the ball to complete the course. When you get out of bounds, it now basically counts as an extra strike against you while working toward par, and you have to take that same shot again. That's a really good way to fuck up your run and have to use a continue and get a bad score. If you clear a round under par, you get bonus points, which acts as lives in this game. Anything more than par, you lose points, which can end the game, forcing you to use a continue. You are also competing against 30 or so imaginary opponents on the course, which is kept track of on a spreadsheet after each hole, and one single fuck up can spell disaster for the entirety of your run, so you really don't want to be making any mistakes at any time. The courses are all fairly varied and fun to play, and some are just straight up fantasy with impossible terrain. Most of the earlier courses are straightforward with minimal obstructions. Others are just insanity, littered with traps and endless cliffs and waterfalls to get over, and these can become very difficult if you aren't familiar with the course.
Now, I understand that I suck at explaining how golf works. I get it. Now, I've been playing this game for years, so I have a pretty firm understanding on what the game wants from you and, the mechanics and how it works there, but trying to convey it can be a little bit difficult, especially to someone that is totally unfamiliar with the sport. So I'm doing the best that I can here. However, feel free to leave a message in the comments below if you think that I suck ass at explaining how golf works. Now, since this is an arcade title, it really doesn't care if you come in first place or if you come in last place or if you even come at all. It's selfish in that way. What it does is when you complete a round or a location, it just kicks you back to the title screen, and if you want to proceed on to any of the other locations, you can do that. But there is no reward for beating all 4 locations, and there is no finite ending. So anyone that's looking for that in any game that they play might find it a little lacking in that department.
As fun as this game is, it is not without one major frustration, and really the only one I can think of here. My biggest complaint with this one is that you simply cannot judge the distance of anything on the course while actually playing it. It does tell you the distance to the hole, that's what she said.
What the fuck?
And you can try to work with that, but a lot of times you're going to pick the wrong club and end up in a goddamn ditch or something else that's equally embarrassing. But what really grinds my gears here is that there's a map of the course on the top right, and it behooves me as to why the devs didn't include yard markers on here. And obviously they thought about that, because right before the round starts, the game shows you a map of the course with distance markers on it. So for the love of God, get accustomed to memorizing this map in the short amount of time it's on the screen so you can make good decisions on the actual course. I just don't understand why it isn't on this map when you're actually playing the course. That's stupid as hell, and that's some straight up arcade shit to expedite your loss and make you pay more money to keep playing. That's the only reason I can think of for this not being on the main map. It can be annoying, but if you're playing at home, it's not such a big deal. In the arcade though, this feature would essentially change the game to be more player friendly, and that would have been a bonus.
Now, the graphics on this game are digitized sprites, much like you would find in Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo. And I know some people, including myself, can take it or leave it as far as that style of graphics goes, but but for this game, I think it works. This is a later Neo Geo title, so this one came out in 1996. I think this game looks absolutely great for what they're trying to do here. One thing that is not very impressive, though, is the music, and it is so forgettable. It is basically elevator music. I don't really know what I expected from a golf game, but definitely not this. I'm not even going to bother playing any snippets for you. It's just not on the level of any other reviews that I've done, like Castle Crashers or Alien Hominid. It's just there because it has to be. One thing, though, that does stand out is some of the voiceovers here. There's a male voice actor, and he clearly speaks English, and then there's a female voice actress, and she clearly does not. And a lot of the things she says throughout this game are pretty hilarious.
Love it. There's also the fun Neo Geo typos here from the translation from Japanese to English, and I don't know if SNK insisted on Japanese developers translating their own games to English or what, but this kind of shit is rampant on this console, and it's so awesome. Look, if you want to play every region, you're looking at about 3 or 4 hours of gameplay, and that's great since most games on the Neo Geo are arcade length, or about an hour at most. It is so fun to play, and it's one I return to all the time. I basically bought a Neo Geo to play this or Nazca's other series, Metal Slug, and it is worth having the console for either if you can wrap your brain around the price tag for the console. It's also a rare and expensive title. I think copies of this game in the past have sold for thousands of dollars. However, I did just see this one on eBay for $700. That is still way more money than I'd ever pay for this game, or any game for that matter. But if you've got a flash cart for the console as I do, or play it on MAME like I used to, this game provides countless hours of fun, and at this point, it's probably the most hours I've sunk into any single Neo Geo game.
So thank you guys for watching it this far into the video. I appreciate that as always. Now, as I mentioned here, this game kicks total ass, and I do strongly suggest you check this out. It's not just a good golf game, it's just a great game in general, and it's definitely worth checking out, at the very least just on MAME for your PC if you can. Do it. You won't be disappointed. You could say that this game is a hole-in-one. Boom, motherfucker! In all seriousness, try this one on MAME. It's very good. I think you won't be disappointed. I wouldn't suggest buying a physical copy of it because you're just gonna get ripped the fuck off. So just download it, or if you got a flash cart, go ahead and play it that way. But once again, I just want to say thank you guys for joining me today, and I will see you on the next video.
Why don't you get fucked?
I'm talking about getting fucked so good you might be able to crawl 3 days later.
Okay. Sounds pretty intense, all right, man?